They say the world's most dangerous prisons are built to contain the worst of humanity, but some say the real danger isn't the criminals locked inside. It's what waits for you on the inside. Today, we're taking you behind razor wire fences, into cells where fear is currency and survival isn't guaranteed. This is a world most people will never see unless you dare step inside. Pause for dramatic beat. And trust me, what you're about to witness will haunt you long after the gates slam shut. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your name, and today we're uncovering the secrets of the most dangerous prisons on Earth. From high-security fortresses in the mountains to underground hellholes where violence rules, we'll reveal the stories that governments don't want you to know. Before we begin, make sure to hit that like button, share, and subscribe, because this is only the beginning, and the deeper we go, the darker it gets. The gates of hell. Imagine a prison where every step could be your last, where guards carry guns not to protect, but to remind you of the rules. Rules you'll break, knowingly or not, and pay for with your life. The camera pans across ADX Florence, in Colorado, the infamous Alcatraz of the Rockies. ADX Florence is home to some of America's most dangerous criminals. Men who plan mass murders, terrorists, and the ones who cannot survive in normal prisons. Every window is barred, every corridor monitored, and yet, despite all that, inmates still find ways to turn the place into a battlefield. Cut the story. Take Thomas Silverman, convicted of orchestrating a prison riot in another facility. When he arrived at ADX, the prison claimed it would break him. Within months, he was manipulating fellow inmates, planning escape attempts through tunnels so sophisticated that guards wouldn't discover them for weeks, if at all. ADX doesn't just lock you away, it locks you in your mind. Cells are 7 by 12 feet, lights never go out, and the isolation is total. Inmates spend 23 hours a day alone. Many go insane, but the few who survive learn to play the rules of fear like a deadly chess game. Survival of the fittest. In some prisons, strength is survival. In others, intelligence is power. But in the deadliest prisons, it's ruthlessness that reigns. Cut to Carandiru Penitentiary in Brazil. Carandiru was notorious for violence. A single riot in 1992 left 111 inmates dead. Guards stormed the prison with live ammunition, a massacre that shocked the world. But the stories from inside suggest a deeper horror. Rival gangs controlling entire wings, drug trafficking from inside the walls, and corruption that made every guard complicit or terrified. Inmate quote, "You don't fight just to survive. You fight to send a message. If you show weakness, you die." The underground empire. Some prisons operate almost like cities under siege. Gangs control food, drugs, even water, and the weak are at the mercy of the powerful. In Mexico's infamous Topo Chico prison, prisoners carved their own tunnels, created black markets, and held entire wings hostage. One inmate, nicknamed El Lobo, ran a covert operation from inside his cell, coordinating assaults, smuggling weapons, and even influencing politics outside the walls. And all the while, authorities claimed they had it under control. The escape that shook a nation. Some stories of escape are almost too incredible to believe, but in the world's deadliest prisons, anything is possible. Tell the story of Pascal Payet, the French criminal who orchestrated multiple helicopter escapes. In 2001, Payet didn't just escape. He took a helicopter over the prison walls, landed in the yard, and vanished into the night. Guards watched helplessly, powerless to stop him. That's when authorities realized the most dangerous prisons aren't about walls and barbed wire. They're about minds that refuse to be broken. The rules you never see. Every prison has rules. But in the most dangerous ones, the unwritten rules are deadlier than any official decree. Inside look. Don't cross the gangs. Don't trust the guards. Never show fear. Always know the exits, even if you never use them. Breaking one of these invisible rules can mean death, or worse, a fate, so terrifying it's never officially recorded. And just when you think you understand the danger, the real horror begins. In some prisons, the line between inmate and guard blurs. Corruption runs deep. Alliances shift like sand. One wrong move, one wrong word, and the consequences are immediate, brutal, and unforgettable. In the next chapter, we'll take you inside the most secretive and terrifying prison in the world, a place so deadly, even talking about it can put your life at risk. Stay tuned, because what comes next will make everything you've seen so far look tame. LA Sabaneta, hell in Venezuela. If you thought ADX Florence or Carandiru were dangerous, you haven't seen La Sabaneta. La Sabaneta Prison in Barquisimeto, Venezuela, has been called one of the deadliest prisons on the planet. Overcrowding is extreme. Cells built for 50 hold over 500 inmates. Hunger, disease, and violence are constant threats. Inside these walls, survival is more than instinct. It's strategy, manipulation, and sheer brutality. Inmate story. Carlos El Diablo Mendoza controlled half of La Sabaneta from a cell. He didn't need a weapon. His word was law. Guards feared him. Rival gangs feared him. And anyone who crossed him disappeared, sometimes permanently. One night, a smuggling operation went wrong, and the entire prison erupted into chaos. Inmates armed with machetes and pipes stormed corridors. The death toll? Too many to count, and the government barely reported it. Kwang, the Thai death row. Travel halfway across the world, and you find yourself in Kwang prison, Thailand's notorious death row, nicknamed the Big Tiger. Kwang is a prison where inmates are literally counting the days until their execution, and yet life inside is often worse than death itself. Cells are overcrowded. Food is barely edible. Torture and abuse are common. Inmates are shackled for 23 hours a day. There's no privacy, no dignity. Diseases run rampant. And yet, gangs thrive. Survival depends not on your innocence, but on your ability to make alliances and intimidate others. Some inmates spend decades here, outliving friends and rivals alike, turning their cells into fortresses within fortresses. One man, known only as Samchai, survived 18 years on death row, mostly by learning the prison's brutal psychology. He says, "You don't live by following rules. You live by bending them without anyone noticing." Goulburn Supermax, Australia's fortress. Halfway across the globe, in the Australian outback, lies a fortress designed to break the most violent and manipulative inmates. Goulburn Supermax is the most secure prison in Australia, housing inmates who've outlived every other facility. 23-hour lockdowns. Strict surveillance. No contact with the outside world. Story highlight. One inmate, known only as a Shadow, was transferred here after orchestrating multiple violent escapes. Guards described him as intelligent, unpredictable, and terrifying. Even in isolation, he found ways to manipulate others, causing riots and panic from behind a cell door. In Goulburn, the fight isn't just against other inmates. It's against the very system designed to contain you. The psychology of fear. What truly makes these prisons dangerous isn't just the violence or the walls. It's the psychology inside. Constant isolation breaks minds. Inmates develop extreme survival instincts. Power is measured in fear, not in numbers. Some inmates go insane. Others become predators. Guards live in constant vigilance. Knowing one mistake can cost them their life. And in the darkest corners, alliances are formed, betrayals are planned, and revenge is always just a heartbeat away. Escapes, riots, and the unthinkable. The most dangerous prisons are never truly secure. History proves it. Tunnels, helicopters, corruption. Inside help, nothing is impossible. Highlight reel of true escapes. Pascal Payet's helicopter escapes in France. The Carandiru riot in Brazil. Tunnel networks in Topo, Chico. Each escape story proves one thing. Human ingenuity can turn even the deadliest fortress into a playground for those daring enough. But for every success, there are dozens who fail and pay the ultimate price. The secret prisons of Russia. In Russia, the concept of a prison takes on a different meaning. Beyond the official facilities, there exist secret colonies where inmates live in conditions that would shock even hardened criminals. Solitary confinement stretches for years. Guards enforce control with brutality. Deaths are often reported as natural causes. But rumors tell a darker story. The notorious Black Dolphin prison houses criminals who are considered too dangerous for the outside world. Murderers, terrorists, cannibals, they are restrained with chains even while sleeping. The sound of a heartbeat in these corridors is considered a threat. Inmate anecdote. One former prisoner recalls walking 1,200 steps in shackles every day, the weight of metal cutting into his skin. Fear isn't just a feeling here, it's a constant companion, one that can drive men to madness. The underground prison networks. Not all prisons are officially recognized. Around the world, underground prison networks exist, sometimes run by governments, other times by gangs themselves. In Mexico, gang-run facilities exist under the radar, controlling entire neighborhoods. In Venezuela, underground tunnels connect wings of notorious prisons, allowing smuggling and illicit trade to flourish. These networks operate in the shadows. Guards are either complicit or powerless, and inmates run entire economies in their cells, from narcotics to weapons to corrupt political influence. Story highlight. In one Venezuelan prison, a group of inmates organized their own judicial system. Traitors were punished publicly, and debts were collected violently. Survival here didn't depend on strength alone. It depended on fear, cunning, and knowing exactly who to trust. Prison riots that shook the world. Throughout history, riots in dangerous prisons have left unforgettable scars, both physically and psychologically. Carandiru Massacre, Brazil, 1992, 111 dead. Attica, USA, 1971, 43 dead. Dozens wounded. Topo, Chico, Mexico, 2016, 49 dead in one night. These riots were never spontaneous. They were calculated, explosive, and deadly. Gangs would coordinate attacks, smuggle weapons, and even manipulate guards to participate or turn a blind eye. One mistake could mean death for dozens. Inmate testimony. During the Carandiru riot, I saw men I had known for years turn to monsters. The moment the first swing landed, there was no turning back. Fear became fuel and violence became survival. The human cost. Prison isn't just punishment. In the deadliest facilities, it's a test of the human spirit. Sometimes a test people fail to survive. Mental health deteriorates under isolation. Physical harm is constant. Relationships, trust, and morality are reshaped by violence. Inmates often say the deadliest part isn't the other men. It's the loss of control over your own life. Decisions are no longer yours. Fear dictates every action. And when the system itself is corrupt, there's no escape, not even mentally. Infamous escapes and deceptive survivors. Some of the most incredible survival stories involve inmates who bent the system itself, using intellect and cunning to survive or even escape. Pascal Payet, helicopter escapes. The Shadow in Goulburn manipulated guards from isolation. Topo Chico masterminds created underground escape tunnels for months before a single inmate left. These stories prove that even the world's most secure prisons are vulnerable, but only to those who are willing to risk everything, including their lives for freedom. The psychology of prison power. In the deadliest prisons, power isn't measured in weapons or numbers. It's measured in fear, influence, and psychological dominance. Gangs dictate rules. Inmates manipulate guards. Survival requires constant calculation. Some men survive by being the most feared. Others survive by being the most invisible. Every action, every word, every glance can be a tool or a weapon. And when alliances break, the consequences are immediate and often fatal. Kwang, North Korea's prison camps. Few people in the world know what happens inside North Korea's prison camps. They are not just prisons, they are extermination zones designed to break bodies and spirits alike. Prisoners face forced labor from dawn to dusk. Food is scarce. Starvation is common. Guards have total control. Death is often arbitrary. Inmates in Kwang labor camps work in mines, on farms, and construction, often in extreme conditions without shoes, clothing, or proper tools. Illness and injury are routine, and medical attention is a privilege rarely granted. Survivor story. One man recalls witnessing executions for the smallest mistakes. A dropped tool, a delayed march, or even a whispered complaint. You don't just fear death, he said. You fear every moment, because anything can trigger it. Maze Prison, Ireland's legacy of violence. Across the globe in Northern Ireland, Maze Prison became infamous for political unrest, riots, and calculated escapes during the Troubles. Maze was considered escape-proof, but history proves otherwise. Inmates organized hunger strikes and protests that made global headlines. Story highlight. In 1983, the maze saw a mass breakout. 38 prisoners escaped, orchestrated with meticulous planning. Guards and authorities were outsmarted by sheer audacity, showing that even the most controlled environments can fall prey to intelligence and desperation. Shu, South America's torture chambers. In several South American countries, prisons are designed not just for punishment, but for psychological domination. Isolation units like the Special Housing Unit, SHU, create extreme mental stress. Prisoners are confined for 23-plus hours a day, lights never go out, and sensory deprivation is routine. Inmate testimony. You start talking to yourself because you forget how to communicate. The mind becomes your enemy. Every shadow is a threat. Every sound a potential attack. The prison doesn't just lock you away. It locks you in your fear. Kano, Nigeria's chaos. In Africa, prisons are often overcrowded, underfunded, and ruled by gangs rather than law. Nigerian prisons like Kano Central operate with minimal oversight. Guards are often bribed or overwhelmed. Violence is daily. Fights, beatings, and riots are common. In Kano, prisoners sometimes organize entire systems of control, from distributing food to controlling trade of weapons and drugs. A newcomer must learn the rules immediately. Show weakness, and survival becomes impossible. Al-Hayy, Iraq's secret detention centers. During times of war and political unrest, some prisons vanish from public record. Yet the horrors inside remain very real. Detention centers like Al-Hayy operate without international oversight. Torture, forced confessions, and executions are reportedly common. Fear permeates every action. Inmates never know what tomorrow will bring. Inmate account. Even the guards are afraid here, a survivor recalls. But fear does not stop cruelty. You learn quickly that silence is the only shield you have. Any sound can be the signal for death. The rules of the deadliest prisons. Across continents, cultures, and systems, the rules are the same. Fear is power, survival depends on strategy, and trust is a liability. Never challenge the dominant gang. Always know the escape routes. Control your mind. The prison will try to control it for you. Never show weakness. Breaking these rules is a death sentence, sometimes literal, sometimes psychological. In the deadliest prisons, the smallest mistake can spiral into disaster. Survival strategies at work. Some inmates survive not through brute strength, but through intelligence, adaptability, and cunning. Manipulate alliances without drawing attention. Avoid unnecessary confrontations. Observe and anticipate every threat. In Topo, Chico, one prisoner survived 3 violent riots by creating a network of loyalty and carefully navigating gang politics. His life was never guaranteed, but his strategies allowed him to outlast rivals and even escape the chaos, a true testament to the human instinct for survival. ADX Florence, the Alcatraz of the Rockies. We've mentioned ADX Florence before, but to truly understand its horror, you need to step inside the cells, 23 hours a day of isolation, with lights that never fully turn off. Inmates are allowed only 1 hour outside their cells, usually in a small, enclosed yard. Contact with others is minimal. Even meals are delivered through a slot. Mental health issues, hallucinations, and depression are rampant. One inmate, known only as Michael, described his first month. You start hearing voices. You argue with shadows. You start questioning reality itself. The guards see you as dangerous, but the prison itself becomes your enemy. Inmate survival strategy. Many inmates create mental routines, counting steps, memorizing every crack in walls, just to maintain sanity. The smallest lapse can tip the mind into a place from which it never returns. The isolation experiments. Extreme isolation isn't just about confinement. It's a psychological weapon designed to break individuals entirely. Some prisons deliberately isolate violent offenders in cells for months or years. Minimal sensory input creates hallucinations and paranoia. Escape attempts become impossible, but mental breaks are common. Case study. In Goulburn Supermax, a prisoner known as the Shadow spent 23 hours a day in a 7x12 cell, lights dim but never fully off. His only contact was with guards, and even they followed strict protocols. He learned to manipulate the system mentally, but many others broke under the pressure, screaming, self-harming, or losing all sense of time and identity. The escape artists. Even in these ultra-secure prisons, humans find ways to bend reality, escape control, and defy impossible odds. Pascal Payet, France. Helicopter-assisted escape. Michael Kimball, USA, used hidden tools and distraction tactics in solitary to escape. Topo Chico masterminds coordinated multi-prison escape plans through secret communication networks. These stories reveal one truth. Even the most secure walls cannot contain human ingenuity, especially when the mind is pushed to the extreme. The hidden hierarchies. Within the deadliest prisons, power isn't always official. Inmates create their own hierarchies, often invisible to guards. Leaders control access to food, protection, and favors. Violence enforces compliance. Reputation becomes life or death. Inmate story. Carlos El Diablo Mendoza at La Sabaneta ran a wing almost entirely from a cell, using intimidation and loyalty networks. Guards feared him. Other inmates feared him. Every movement, every glance, every conversation reinforces control. In ADX Florence or Goulburn Supermax, invisible hierarchies exist even in extreme isolation. Alliances are mental exercises, strategies enacted in thought, not in reality. The price of survival. Inmates pay a terrible price to survive in these prisons, physically, mentally, and morally. Mental deterioration is common in long-term isolation. Violence leaves physical and emotional scars. Corruption and manipulation erode morality. Narrator voiceover. In some prisons, men leave not only physically changed, but psychologically altered, hypervigilant, distrustful, sometimes incapable of reintegration into society. Survival isn't just a fight against others. It's a fight against your own mind. Riots and rebellions under controlled chaos. Even in the deadliest and most controlled prisons, chaos erupts. When inmates rebel, the results are catastrophic. Carandiru, Brazil, 1992 riot, 111 killed. Topo Chico, Mexico, 2016 riot, 49 killed. ADX Florence, isolated attempt at rebellion, often through manipulation and psychological warfare. Riots are often the culmination of fear, frustration, and planning. When inmates sense weakness in guards or fellow prisoners, violence becomes the ultimate tool. In the deadliest prisons, chaos is always lurking just beneath the surface. The final frontier fear. The world's most dangerous prisons are not just physical spaces. They're psychological crucibles, testing the limits of human endurance, morality, and ingenuity. Fear is currency. Survival requires adaptability and intelligence. The strongest, smartest, and most ruthless often outlast arrest. We've journeyed from the Rockies to Venezuela, from Thailand to Iraq, witnessing what happens when humans are pushed to the edge. But the ultimate question remains: can any mind truly withstand the pressures of these prisons without losing itself entirely? The world inside the deadliest prisons is a place of fear, power, and survival unlike anything you could imagine. From extreme isolation to ruthless gangs, from riots to impossible escapes, these walls hold stories of humanity pushed to the edge and sometimes beyond. If this journey into the heart of danger left you shocked, intrigued, or questioning what you thought you knew about prisons, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you won't want to miss the next chapter, because the world of the most dangerous prisons is far from over.